T-Mobile, we believe in putting people first by treating them right. So we're upping the benefits without upping the price. Introducing Magenta Max, now with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. Plus, get Netflix on us. Right now, pay zero cost to switch. And bring your phone, we'll pay it off up to $650. Only at T-Mobile.
Activate up to 4K or video streams at 480p. Up to 40 gigs high-speed tethering. $650 via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. SIM and support charges waived. Receive Netflix standard with 2 lines.
The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Hoop Ball's DFS Today. This is your Tuesday, March 16th edition. I am your host, Santino. I am here with my man, Will. William Harris. How you doing today, Will?
Good. Great to be with you, Santino. And I didn't know you were just going by one name now. You're like Prince. I like it.
Yeah, we're just cutting out the clutter of that last name. Shout out to Will. Will said we're doing this late Monday night. Will's little girl's birthday was today, so happy birthday.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yep. Growing up on me.
Growing up. Soon she'll be taking your job. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we have a pretty solid slate on our hands tonight. A 7-game slate, and first game kicks off at 7:30, so a little later. And then we have 3 of them at 8, 1 at 9, and 2 at 10, or 1 at 10, and then one late one at 10:30. But most of them are condensed in that 7:30 to 9 range. We'll get about 5 of the 7 done. We should have most of the news by then, which is good to hear. And before we jump into it, I do want to give a quick shout out to our guys over at MyBookie. Simply the best sports book around. They're the only place I trust to handle all my NBA-related bets, all my soon-to-be MLB-related bets. March Madness we're starting in days at this point. We already have the brackets out. You can bet on the live casino, which I had a blast doing this weekend. It's just an awesome time. It's simple, and about all you have to do is sign up, enter the promo code HoopBall. That's HOOPBALL. Get your deposit matched halfway up to $1,000. So head on over to MyBookie if you want to add a little excitement to the sports you love and the games you bet. Bet with the best. Bet with MyBookie. All right, man, we're going to jump into this slate. We have the first game on our hands at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. It is the Utah Jazz at the Boston Celtics. And on the injury report, all we have is Romeo Langford out for the Celtics. And I believe that's it. Nothing on the Jazz side of the ball. We do have a spread for this game. It's a 226 total with the Jazz 4.5-point road favorites. So we'll start with the Jazz side. I'll start with your guy Spida. So how you feeling on the Jazz side? Who are you looking at? Do you like this matchup? Is it something you want to target?
It's a good matchup because you ever got whenever you have Donovan Mitchell versus Jason Tatum, but you also got Jaylen Brown in there to help defend Mitchell. This is going to be a tough matchup for Donovan, but he's the main guy on the team. He has to put up points for them to be competitive. But so 8,900, the price is slowly getting higher and higher every day, and his production has not been a guarantee. He's kind of averaging around 40s, mid to low 40s. Sometimes he's getting in the 50s, sometimes he's in the 30s. So at 8,900, in this tough matchup against those two guards, and Marcus Smart is back, I don't think I would touch Donovan Mitchell in this game. And then obviously you only have 2 other people that I would consider is Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley. Rudy's at 8,200. He's been playing well lately. So he's always worth it. Whenever you can get a productive center under 8,500, that's decent. And Mike Conley at 6,500, he should be, okay. But he's mainly in the 30s. If you want a safe bet, you can go with Conley. You just know he's not going to get you 40 or 50 points. So that's just how you want to set your lineup if you're considering him. I'm not looking at anyone else on the Jazz because I wouldn't trust them. What do you think? You're still muted.
Oh, my bad there. Yeah, and I was complimenting you too. I was saying, yeah, I pretty much am on board with what you were saying there. Though Rudy Gobert is now over the 8K mark, it kind of gives you a little hesitation. Though this matchup is great, he's coming off a 74-point fantasy outing, monster game. I still think he's in play here, and I would take that $700 savings to Mitchell, like you mentioned. For all the things you mentioned, I think there are other plays on this slate. Mitchell's almost at that 9K price tag now. But I do think Gobert is in a good matchup. Just slightly pricey, but he's still in my player pool because the matchup is enticing. And I think Mike Conley, like you mentioned, not the greatest upside, but he's been a pretty steady presence. And at only 6'5", he's a nice play in that mid-tier range. I don't think I'm really going to gravitate towards anybody else. Just those two guys mainly for me as well. But what about on the Celtics side? Do you see yourself getting any exposure on this side, knowing you're going against one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in basketball right now?
True, and that makes me leery of either of their stars, Tatum or Brown. And Kemba Walker's been in a slump lately. So honestly, I don't think I would touch any Celtics in this game. Obviously, the name Tatum stands out at you, but at 9,300, his last few games, he's been averaging maybe 40 DraftKings points. You got to get better than that at that high of a price point. And Jaylen Brown has been in the slump also in the low 30s. So at 7,900, is it even worth it to play him? And like I said, against one of the toughest defenses. So Marcus Smart back is interesting to me. I've heard today that the Celtics are shopping Tristan Thompson, but as long as he's still getting minutes, I can't be trusted to play Robert Williams. But if they were going to sit Tristan Thompson, I would be very excited to play Time Lord Robert Williams. So I don't know if you've heard anything on that front, but other than that, the Celtics are not looking that enticing to me.
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything on the Rob Williams or sitting Tristan Thompson type of on that news yet. I mean, the Celtics have been in the trade rumors for years now, and they haven't actually made a trade. It's just, they're talking to this team, that team, this team, that. I think they've talked to every single team, even G League teams, about trades around this time of the year the last couple of years, but they haven't pulled the trigger on anything. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I Robert Williams at 5'6", knowing that it's still a three-head, even though he's taken the lion's share lately, it's still a three-headed monster, and it's hard to. Though he's a point-per-minute monster, it's hard for me to throw out 5-6 on him, knowing that he might only play 19 minutes. I know he did that in the last game, put up an awesome game, 13 rebounds, 16 points. And even before that, in 17 minutes, the game after the break, he only scored 2 points, and he still put up 27 fantasy points. It's just hard for me to go there with knowing that he hasn't even cracked the 20-minute mark in those two games. And yeah, I think I'm with you. I don't want to spend. I think we have other options that we don't have to throw ourselves at Tatum or Brown or Kemba, and Smart's there back now too. Knowing that we're going against one of the better defenses in the league. Smart I would like at 5'7", but I expect him to still have that minutes limit. He's only played an average of 20 in the first two games. If he's going to be around 20 minutes again, don't want to. Same reasons about Rob Williams. I don't really want to play him there. But if they're going to say, okay, he can play 30, 32 minutes, I think 5'7" is a very good price tag for him. But in general, I'm with you. I'm probably going to leave this side of the ball alone and most of the game alone.
Yeah, totally agree. It's going to be an interesting game, probably a low-scoring game. So I don't know. That's for the true lovers of good basketball to watch that game. It's not going to be too exciting, I don't think.
Right.
Like the old Spurs matchups when they used to play.
Exactly. And now the next game is a different one. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers going to Miami to take on the Heat. This one we do not have a spread for, but we do have an injury report. On the Cavs side, we know Dellavedova's out for a while. Drummond just not with the team. Taurean Prince has been ruled out already. And Kevin Love is doubtful. I would assume he's not going to play. He came back, played 10 minutes, and then played a couple minutes in the second game, got hurt. For the Heat, we have Tyler Hero as probable. Gabe Vincent as probable. Myers Leonard is out. stupid. Avery Bradley is questionable. And Bam Bam Adebayo is probable, and it looks like he's going to be making his return right in time for this matchup. We'll start with I know last time I said, I'll start this one when we're switching on and off, and you got all like, hey, why are you starting with this one? So, I'm going to throw it to you. We'll just let you start them all. You kind of got angry when I started the last one.
Wow, just throw me under the bus.
But I'll throw it at you, man. We have the Cavs over here. Going against this Heat squad, who do you like here? Can you go to Jared Allen almost at 8K knowing that Bam should be back? How do you feel about Colin Sexton, Garland? Just in general, where you're looking at this team.
Well, yeah, it's looking rough for the Cavs too. Also, obviously you look at the big name of Jared Allen, you're like, a couple weeks ago he was putting up 40s and 50 points. He's still doing that, right? No, his last 4 games, 32, 33, 24, 24 DraftKings points, and that's just not cutting it. So if you were to play him, it would be more of a shot in the dark, hoping he will go back to one of those 50 DraftKings point nights. And it is helpful that Bam is his first game back, and he was out with a knee. So I don't think he'll play a full complement of minutes, but you never know. I mean, they could have held him out to where they feel comfortable playing him a full complement of minutes, but it's speculation. So Jared Allen, the slump he's been in, I don't feel comfortable enough to play him. It was sad that Kevin Love came back for basically 2 minutes and was back out again. Hopefully he'll be all right, but it's not looking good. Sexton, I really only feel comfortable playing him when Garland is out and Garland is back, because when they're both together, their production is kind of both limited. Like Sexton has played at all-star levels this year, but his last 2 games, DraftKings points 29 and 18, and you just can't pay $7,600 for that. You're just hoping he'll be back to his form, just like Jared Allen. All of the Cavs are pretty much in the slump. And I love Garland, but he's in the slump too at 6,400. One guy that's interesting to look at is Larry Nash Jr. His price is so low, you could possibly consider it. And with Love hurt, that helps him, so he should get more minutes this game, and he's ramping back up from his injury. But I wouldn't even feel confident in that. If you want to just take a shot in the dark at 4,700, that's not too bad. What do you agree with that, or are you just not touching anyone on this team?
Yeah, Nance would be my favorite play on this team at 4,700. Knowing Love's gone, he's seen minute. He missed a large chunk over a month as well. He played 28 minutes in his first game back, 26 in the last one, both blowouts. But he's seeing. I could see him hit that 30 minute mark, or even 32, 33 minutes, and at 4,700, knowing that he has a well-rounded skill set, and it's only a matter of time before it starts clicking a little better. I really like that at 4.7, so I can take a stab here, especially in the matchup. He's going to be playing both forward spots, mainly power forward, and he could take advantage of Kelly Olynyk. So I like him here. I also don't hate looking at Isaac Okoro. Now that Love's gone, he should be back to his 30-minute role or so, as long as the game is competitive too. And
that's busy right there.
You'll throw him there. I think he's a guy I'd be digging deep if I needed it. He wouldn't be someone I'm looking at like, hey, yeah, I definitely am going to play him in here and build around him. He's if I'm going heavy and I'm under that $4,000 mark with my last 1 or 2 spots, then I'd give him a look. But I think Nance is my favorite play here, and I'm not too thrilled on the rest of the squad at their respective tags.
Speaking of, Okoro, D Wade, I don't know if I can give him that nickname, but Dean Wade, he was playing good before the All-Star break, and so with Love out, he could get some minutes also, and he's only at 4,000. But I think Wade and Okoro are just shots in the dark, really.
Yeah, and Jared Allen, I know you were talking about him. He got dunked on bad by
I saw that
hit the other night by Nathan Knight, and I think that was one of the first games he played. I believe he played. That was the most extensive minutes he played all year, and he just dunked bad on Jared Allen. It's almost as if the Cavs were a better team with Andre Drummond record-wise. But
who would have thought it?
Who would have thought that? I don't want to go there because so many people hated Andre Drummond when he got the he's very bad at basketball rep for some reason, but the Cavs are worse without him. Well, I digress. Let's go on to the Heat, man. How you looking at the Heat? Jimmy Butler has been playing out of his mind as usual. Now he's near 10K, but Adebayo's coming back in this one. But how are you feeling overall? We should have pretty much outside Avery Bradley, a healthy Heat team for what feels like forever.
Right. And Jimmy's price has gone up to 9,800. But over the last 6 games, he's been averaging around 60 DraftKings points. So I think he should be a lock for at least 50. Possibly lowest probably I could see him going is 45, because I don't think Bam, like I said earlier, is going to play a full complement of minutes. I think they'll take it easy on him, ease him back in. And so really, with that being said, that Bam coming back hurts Olynyk, so I would not trust him. Dragic had an incredible game the other night, but then completely disappeared the last game. So, he'll probably be somewhere in the middle, but I don't like that unpredictability. Same thing when Dragic is there. None is not useful. Hero is probable, but that doesn't make me feel great. So really the only person I would feel comfortable in playing is Jimmy Butler. And if that price point is too high for you, I understand with Bam coming back. So the Heat are not looking, that great to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Butler is in my player pool. I don't know how high I'll go on him, but
right.
The Heat they're not the team that blows people out of the water, blows other teams out of the water. Even if this might be, since they're home, this is looking like it's a 6-point spread or so. But they play a lot of competitive games with their style of play. So I expect them all to get a good amount of minutes, assuming Adebayo has no minutes limit. He's missed 2 weeks now. But everybody else should play, and Butler's doing his thing. When he's doing his thing, everybody else gets a little bit less. And looking at all their price tags, Dragic, Olynyk, Hero, I'm not in love with all of them. I don't hate Kendrick Nunn, because this is the type of matchup that the Cavs just give up a bunch of points and let scorers score. So I don't hate him in this one. But at 4,900, I'm only going to go there in GPP type plays. But he's a guy that he would be the other guy that I don't hate as one of these more value play type of guys on this squad. But the rest of them, this is just it's a good matchup, but I like some other spots here that I'm going to want to get exposure to. And one of them's coming up in that next game.
Yeah, fortunately we have 7 games, so you don't have to force it. If this is a 3 or 4 game slate, you really be looking harder at a lot of these guys, but don't force it, like we said.
Yeah, that's why he'd be a GPP guy for a very low ownership type of play here. But let's jump on over to this next game. We have the Atlanta Hawks traveling to Houston to take on the Rockets. We do not have a spread currently for this game, but we do have an extensive injury report. This might take 45 minutes. It might take the entire podcast. On the Hawks side of the ball, we have Chris Dunn, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish out. We have Onyeka Okongwu as questionable and Clint Capella as questionable. On the Rockets side, we have a book. We have Dante Exum, Eric Gordon, Rodion Skirics, David Nwaba, PJ Tucker, John Wall, all out. Christian Wood as doubtful, we can pretty much say out. And Ben McLemore and Daniel House as questionable. So a lot to sort through there. We don't know if Ben McLemore or House are going to play. And if they don't play, the Rockets are just scream value for everybody. But we're going to start on the Hawks side of the ball because they are the away team. Well, what are you liking here? And does a lot depend on if Capella's in or out? Or are you just going to target this team and hope that it stays competitive for a half?
Well, I think with if Capella's out, that always makes me look at John Collins. I think when Capella's out, that allows him to get more rebounds, be more productive. He's kind of like his old self from last year. So at 6,700, that's an affordable price for that risk. It's worth it for me. And like you mentioned earlier, the guy that dunked on Jared Allen is Nathan Knight. His price is so low, you can barely find him. Barely minimum price at 3,000. It's ridiculous. You have to play him. He got 36 DraftKings points last game. So, I mean, that's a steal at that price if Capella is out. He played great, so it's no reason for them not to play him again. But like I said, we got to keep an eye on that injury report with Capella and Okongwu. But it's no reason for them not to play him, and I think he would be worth that price. I mean, obviously. I mean, you're stealing him, basically. You can also look at Herter or Gallinari. Gallinari's been playing a lot better with the coaching change. And Herter at 5,700 also. As long as Reddish and Hunter aren't there, Herter's always in play. And either of those guys are going to average around the same amount of points, so you can just pick or choose whichever one you prefer with the position. How do you feel about the Hawks?
Yeah, and Capella, like you said, that's going to be big news. If he doesn't play, John Collins and both Knight is going to have to play more minutes. And there's always the huge – anytime you're going against whatever Houston has on its roster that's healthy, it's the potential for a massive blowout. And if it's a big blowout, this guy's just going to get run. Again, against the backups of the Rockets, which their starters are technically backups right now. But, bare minimum 3K. If there's no Capella, you can feel really good about that one. And Collins as well at 6'7". If there is Capella at 7'7", against his former team and no interior threat, I really like him. Even if he's going to play 26 minutes, I mean, he might get 20 rebounds in 26 minutes. Don't think I'm going to go Trae Young at 10-2. I think we have other options just because the massive blowout potential. If you think this is a game that's going to stay competitive, I mean, no one on the other team can guard him. So that's an option for you. And I don't hate Bogdanović just because there's so many injuries, especially if Capella's out. Everybody got to bump down a little bit more minutes for him. And at 4K, he started playing better in that last game. He scored 12 points, had 4 assists, 20 fantasy points, and it looks like his minutes are slowly going up. So it all depends on Capella for me, but there is a lot to like when you're playing against Houston. But what about on the Houston side, man? What are you looking at over here? We see Kevin Porter Jr. is no longer the bargain he was the last couple games since the All-Star break. He's now at 7K, priced pretty appropriately.
Yes, he is. I was going to start with Oladipo, but I could skip to KPJ. He's getting a lot of hype. He's been playing very well. He's got a real flashy game, so everyone likes him. And always been wanting to see him since Cleveland, and when he got kicked out of the team, basically. So I think at 7,000, that's still a decent price for him. It's not like if he goes to the 8,000s, then I'll start to get worried. But with the lack of depth on this team, you can't go wrong with him at 7,000. I'm sure he will bounce back because he played 3 great games. Well, 2 great games, then 1 dud. So I think he'll bounce back. But the guy I love on this team is my main man, Kenyon Martin Jr. I think he is a must-play. To me, he's shown the most potential to me. I just love his skill, love his games. His last 3 games that he's played, 30, 38, 37 DraftKings points. He came out of nowhere. I think he was second round or undrafted rookie. And his price has gone up, but 5,300, that's worth it and it's safe for me. The only thing that would hurt him is Nwaba, but he is out, right? With Nwaba out, oh man, you definitely got to play Kenyon Martin Jr. I like Oladipo going back to the top, at 8,300. You see his name and you're like, Oladipo, he's not having a good year, is he? But for DraftKings, he's been pretty productive, and he's at 8,300. That's a decent price range, in my opinion. And like you said, with everyone out, that will, allow him to just do even more. Because it really would hurt. If John Wall was playing, I probably wouldn't even consider Oladipo. But with him out, I think they're good to go. And the only other player I'm looking at is Justin Patton at 5,300. He's going to get those big man minutes. So, he's got to be out there. And they're not going to have he's going to be playing against Nathan Knight more than likely for the most part. That's not going to be too tough for him. He could easily put up 10 and 10. So what do you think about the Rockets?
Yeah, I just think the Rockets, they might only have 8 healthy players. We have House and Ben McLemore as questionable. That would be 9 and 10. And Christian Wood doesn't look like he's going to make his return. He would be 11. If all 3 of those guys miss, they only have 8 healthy players. And I think everybody, like I can make a case for playing anybody in this type of matchup. To me, especially if Capella's not there, that takes the massive rim protection of the Rocket or of the Hawks and their best defender out, and then you could. I don't mind going anywhere. Like you mentioned, Kenyon Martin, that's 5,300. You can go there. If all of these guys are out, Mason Jones at 3,200, he should play a decent amount of minutes. Don't hate him. That he would get Trae Young's defense. Same with Kevin Porter Jr. is getting Trae Young's defense, and without Wall there, he's the point guard. I like him as long as Wall is out, because Wall is going to take more of the ball handling duties and push him off ball, and a lot of his skill set that he showed in the G League was when he was playing on ball. So until that, I don't hate 7K for him. Jayshawn Tate 5'7", slightly above where I want him, but I mean, if there's only going to be 8 players, we can look at so many of these guys. And you mentioned Justin Patton. If Capella's not there, he looks a lot better in his rim protection and the lone actual big man on the roster right now. Sterling Brown at 4'8". I mean, a lot of these guys are just going to have to play, whether it's a blowout or not. They might have 8 players. If House and Ben McLemore play, then a lot of these big guys I'll have a little less interest in. I do like Martin out of those big guys, but Mason Jones, Anthony Lamb, another name there. Tate, I'll have less interest in them because even if they don't play a full complement of minutes, they'll still take a little dent out of there. But if they're only going to have 8 guys, you can look here for different types of value in a solid matchup. And we're hoping Capella doesn't play. This is a game that we're, even though they're not outside Capella, it's not huge news. It's news that I want to know before we set our lineups. And the good thing is we have the late 7:30 start time, so we should, for the most part, know what's going on.
Yeah, and I like Jayshawn Tate in his game, but it's just like, I don't know. It seems like since the last few weeks, he's not been as aggressive as he was earlier because he was looking like he was going to be the Kevin Porter Jr. of this team, and now he seems to have fallen back a little to Kevin Porter and Kenyon Martin. But he's going to be out there, and I like him. But last time I played him in DraftKings, he burned me. So I don't know if I can trust him, but he's going to be out there. I hope he's productive. But it's hard to have Kenyon Martin, Kevin Porter, Oladipo, all of them to be productive. So someone's going to have to take a back seat, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think you could look at them in all different price tags. And if House and or McLemore or both of them play, then you kind of dwindle it down to Porter, Martin, Patton, and even Depot. But I do think if it turns into a blowout, though, at some point they're going to not want to run him to the ground because it does seem like they want to move him. So we'll see about that. They've been playing him heavy minutes anyway, but maybe that changes. We have 9 days until we get to the trade deadline now.
I can't wait.
But let's jump on to this next game, the second game, or the last game at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is the New York Knicks at the Philadelphia 76ers. We do have a spread. It's a whopping 215 total. That's the lowest of the 4 that we have so far. And the Sixers are 7-point home favorites. And on the injury report, and that's shocking, 7 points without their best players. On the injury report, we don't have anything for the Knicks because they are playing. This is the back end of a back-to-back for them. And I forgot to mention other teams on the back-to-back. The Celtics are on the front end. The Cavs, the Heat, both on the front end of a back-to-back also. The Rockets are also on the front end of a back-to-back. The Knicks are the first team on the back end of a back-to-back. But Derrick Rose, Mitchell Robinson both missed last game. Austin Rivers was ruled out, then ruled in, then ruled out again. So that's something I guess we can keep an eye on. And Elfrid Payton also missed. He was considered doubtful for Monday. Then he got turned into a game-time decision and ultimately missed it. So keep an eye on the point guard spot on the Knicks. And the Sixers only have one guy on their injury report, but it is the biggest one of them all, and it is Joel Embiid, and he will not be playing this game or the next few games at the minimum. But we'll start on the Knicks side of the ball, man. Knowing that there's no Embiid, knowing that this defense is still awesome, how are you feeling about the Knicks squad? But do And I know the point guard position is something that we're definitely going to need the news on before. We see Emmanuel quickly at 58. Alec Burks has been playing some point guard. He's only 4'7". Then we might have Payton, we might have Rose, we might have Rivers, we might not have any of them. Frank the Tank is still 3, but he doesn't do much. But I'm sorry about that. I keep going. How you feeling on the Knicks side of the ball here?
Yeah, you definitely got to check out that point guard, injury list, because it's been a roller coaster all year. On the game on the 15th, March 15th, quickly had 21 points. So if everyone's going to be out, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to have another big game. So he's one you can consider. I love Julius Randle. He's at a high price though, at 9,900. But last game he had that monster triple double, so he's always got that potential. But it is coming on a back to back, so we'll have to see how rested they are. RJ Barrett has been playing pretty well lately. So at 6,200 you can consider him. A guy I'm looking at is Reggie Bullock at 3,800. Tonight, the game March 15th. He has 19 and 6 points, and there's still a little time left in the game. So, they were talking about how Tibbs loves his veterans. So, everyone wants the young fellas to play, but, he wants to play Bullock, Derrick Rose, Alec Burks. So, the way Bullock is playing on the 15th, I think Tibbs is just going to want to keep giving him minutes like that. So, those are the only ones I'm really looking at other than waiting on the injury report.
Yeah, and I think we can look at the point guard position again, depending on who's playing. We might get some Ben Simmons on RJ Barrett. Not sure how they go about that, but quickly at 5'8", he's a little more expensive now than we wanted, but he's still, even tonight he dropped. He has over 20 points, 18 shots, second most on the team. 12 of those 18 shots have been 3-pointers, and he took 7 free throws as well. Didn't do too much of the rest. Now we see Point Randall taking a lot of the facilitating duties and running a lot of the offense. But this dude likes to shoot, and he can still put up 30 points if he's going to be the starter here. If Rose or Payton...
He's got 31 and 10 right now with a little bit left still in the game.
Yeah, and if Rose or Payton are back, then obviously quickly evaporates. But if we're looking at them out, then he can be in play. Don't hate Randall, especially without Embiid here. I would probably gravitate towards him more than I normally do. He's been playing a little bit better. I think the first couple games after the All-Star break, I think he had that All-Star hangover. It was first time ever All-Star, but he's been playing a little bit better lately. RJ Barrett's been playing a little bit better lately, but I don't want to go there too much on this type of matchup. I would probably look similar to you. I think we can look at Alec Burks, possibly Reggie Bullock, even though he's and maybe some Taj Gibson if you don't want to go. We already had a lot of value, and we have a lot of value on the slate, but Taj Gibson, I guess, is another name that you can just throw out there, knowing that he's been playing a consistent 25 minutes. I know he's an old guy, like you mentioned. Tibbs loves his veterans, man. He's just going to play him no matter what, so don't hate him at 32 if you just need some old man ugly stats to bolster your lineup, or not bolster, to fill out your lineup. But I like the point guards and quickly Burks the most on here if we have the injury report that we had in the last couple games. But how about on the Sixer side? We saw that Tony Bradley got the start in the last game. Don't know if it sticks. It might. He didn't play a ton of minutes. Dwight Howard still saw 20, and it was a massive blowout. It was a 35-point blowout anyway. But where would you look on the Sixer squad going against another team that's a very good defense and the slowest team in the league? And they don't have their best player, though. So usage is abound.
Right. Bradley was out because it was a blowout, but he also tweaked his ankle a little bit. But they said he would be fine if it was competitive and they need him. I think he could have came back. So, him and Dwight probably would put up similar production, and Bradley's almost half, less of the price that Dwight is at 6,000. Bradley's at 3,700. So I think at that low of a price point, Bradley is still worth considering. As long as he's 100%, you have to keep an eye on that. And obviously you can look at Ben Simmons at 9,000, but he's been on a real slump lately. But he always can put up a triple-double at any moment. But his last 3 games has been around 30 DraftKings points, and that's just insane, especially with Embiid out. We would expect him to be getting 60 DraftKings points. So, he might, feel the need to step up and do something, but you just never know. Tobias Harris has been, consistent pretty much all year. But that's, I probably would not look at him at 8,500 because, 2 of the last 3 games, he's been at the low 30s in DraftKings points. So, Philadelphia is not looking that great to me. I know Danny Green had a great game last game, but, you never know with him and Seth. One of them's going to get it, one of them's not. How do you feel about the centers with Dwight and Bradley? And what do you think about Korkmaz? Do you think he'll be able to keep up his production?
I don't. He's a guy that he's a very streaky guy, and I know 3 straight high teens points, but he's not. I just don't know. He's not a guy that I want to invest in again, especially in this type of matchup. And the centers, I would lean towards Bradley just because he's 3,700 and Dwight Howard's near or at 6K now. So I'd rather just take my chances with Bradley. I don't think it's a huge difference. Bradley can get a double-double in short amount of minutes anyway, and I think they're going to split it for the most part, somewhere maybe 19 and 25, and Mike Scott plays a couple minutes, or in that type of range. I don't know who's going to get what, but I think they're both going to play near 20 minutes or maybe slightly above it. So I'd rather just take the discount there. Outside of that, I don't love everybody's price tags. I think we can look at Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, but they are in that 8.5 and 9. Yeah, not overpriced because we don't have Embiid, but they're at a price tag that I would love to play them, but I just don't love the matchup. So I'm keeping them in my player pool and just seeing how things shake out. But the matchup gives me a little hesitance there. But knowing that
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
No, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
At T-Mobile, we believe in putting people first by treating them right. So we're upping the benefits without upping the price. Introducing Magenta Max, now with unlimited premium data that can't slow down based on how much smartphone data you use. Plus, get Netflix on us. Right now, pay zero cost to switch. And bring your phone, we'll pay it off up to $650. Only at T-Mobile.
Activate up to 4K or video streams at 480p, up to 40 gigs high-speed tethering, $650 via virtual prepaid card, allow 15 days. SIM and support charges waived. Receive Netflix standard with 2 lines.
Knicks are on the second end of it, back-to-back on this one. They'll be traveling from Brooklyn to Philly, which really isn't that far. It's like a 3-hour drive. I probably won't have too much exposure to them, but I don't hate the pivots there. And if I had to pick one of the two, I would go with Ben Simmons. I just think the Knicks point guards aren't the greatest of it's their weak spot defensively.
Yeah, and you remember Mitchell Robinson is out, so they pretty much only have Noel down there, so it's not too intimidating because he's not been playing great lately either. So
Taj Gibson, man, don't diss Taj.
58-year-old Taj Gibson. Isn't that a shame? He's getting minutes and Knox is not getting any minutes. They need to, free Kevin Knox like they did Dennis Smith.
Oh well, they've been playing good basketball, so I don't want to. I can't fault them. Do it's working. Play the old man.
Play the old man.
I think he goes recruiting at the YMCA.
I know.
Tom Thibodeau and just picks
he tried to get Joakim Noah back bad.
Yeah, he did. Well, that's funny. Now, let's jump on over to this next game, man. First game at 9 o'clock and the only game at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have the Thunder at the Bulls, traveling to Chicago. And we have a spread for this one. It is 223, and the Bulls are 4-point home favorites. On the injury report, we have just Garrett Temple out for the Bulls and Devin Dotson probable. On the Thunder, we have another extensive one. Al Horford is resting for the second game in a row. Don't know what that's about. George Hill's still out.
Yeah.
Josh Hall is out. Darius Baisley is out again. Trevor Ariza never joined the team. and Lou Dort is questionable. Theo Maledon missed the last one. He's in for this one. But we have a lot of people out again on this squad. They're very hard to nail down here. They're going against a very not great Chicago team defensively. But where are you looking here? I mean, just like the Hawks Rockets game, I just think there's value galore here.
With the Bulls first?
No, we're going to go with the Thunder. My bad.
Oh, you're good. Okay, yeah, you got Shea, obviously, at 8,800. I think that's a good price for him, especially with everyone out. Dort might be back, but he could be limited. So, the team's going to run 100% through Shea in this game. With Horford out, that makes you look at, and Baisley out, you got to look at your guy. Go ahead and tell me his nickname. You do it better than anyone else. Say it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Pokemon?
Pokemon.
Your guy, he's been balling 2 out of the last 3 games, 48 drafting points and 32. So with the minutes, he can put up, those type of numbers. And at that price, 4,400, that can help you win your night, he's been looking so good. And, he's a guy that, the OKC has invested in with their future. He was their first round pick. And they're going to want to see him get minutes and see if they're going to be replacing him in the next coming draft, because they sent him to the G League early because he's so skinny, but he finally is showing what he can do out there. And another guy you got to look at is old man Moses Brown. He's got the old man name, but he's only like 20 years old. But his last 3 games has gotten over 20 DraftKings points, and I think he's only going to keep ramping up the minutes. They even started him over Isaiah Roby, who I think has a bright future, even though Roby played more minutes. So he's a guy almost minimum that's pretty much starting for this team and should be able to put you up production. And I think every game he's just going to get even better. And then, that does hurt Isaiah Roby, but at 5,300, Roby still has the potential to do something for you. But that does hurt Roby. So the main guys are probably Shea, Pokemon, Pokashevsky, and Moses Brown. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I like Pokemon and Moses Brown. I like them better than Isaiah Roby. I think Moses is a little bit – I think he might be the guy that takes that job at some point if Horford gets traded, though I don't think Horford gets traded this year. But I like Moses Brown. He was dominating the G League. I like how you called him the old man phase. And he's been good. He's going to grab rebounds. We know the Bulls have their center issues, so I would rather attack the front court. And then I'm not going to shy away from Shea, and I like to call him Shai Alexander because I don't want to shy away from him in this matchup. I know they switched and put Sadaransky as a starting point guard because he's been a lot better of a defender than Kobe White, and it worked out. I still think there's some exploitation here that you can attack him with 88. I feel very safe with him. Maybe he doesn't have the 60-point upside in this game, but 45, 50 points is very good. I feel comfortable with him in cash games. And I just think there's a lot of value to go around on the slate that we can attack and put more people attack and get a lot of these high-end guys on our rosters. Pokemon and Moses Brown are another 2 very, very good value plays and cheap plays. And if Lou Dort doesn't play, I don't hate Ty Jerome or Kenrick Williams. I think Ty Jerome has been pretty solid fantasy-wise. I honestly think he's better fantasy-wise than Theo Maledon, and he's a lot cheaper. So I don't mind going there if Lou Dort doesn't play. I just think this is a good game. There's some good options here that are super cheap against not a great Chicago defensive team. But if we jump onto Chicago, man, how do you feel about them going against a G League team that doesn't quit? Because this Thunder team just competes no matter who's on the court.
Yeah, I mean, they've been winning. I'm sure, ownership is like upset that they're playing so well. They expected them to do bad, and they're very competitive, fun team to watch. Scrappy guys out there. I know everyone's going to see Zach Levine, at 9,000, but 2 of his last 3 games have been duds for him. I don't expect that to continue, but when you're getting around 9,000 at a price point, you're like, you want some security and more of a guarantee there. So that's a little sketchy for me, but that's up to you. He has that potential for 50, but, his last 2 out of 3 games has been low 30s, high 20s. And then other than that, the Bulls have a plethora of guys you can consider. Thad Young at 6,100, he's starting now. Very productive. The coach seems to like him. He's going to be a lock for pretty much 35 DraftKings points. And at 6,100, you can't go wrong with that. Lauri Markkanen, same type of situation. He's going to be in the low 30s at 6,000. Wendell Carter, low 30s. They just have so many guys at the same type of position that are putting up the same type of points. I don't know if you can trust Patrick Williams. He went off last game. He had 23 actual points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and that was 41 DraftKings points. He's been up and down, mainly down most of the year. So I don't know if that's something of a trend or, just an enigma. Trent was out. Garrett Temple was out. So that helps that. And then the only guy I'm really, confident in is Sadaransky at 3,600. He is a steal. With the change in the lineup, he started last game over Kobe White, had 33.5 DraftKings points. He's safe. He should not be priced that low, but DraftKings has not caught up to that yet. So long as they don't change the lineup and Kobe White starting again, as Sadaransky is starting, you have to play him at 3,600 in my opinion.
Yeah, and Zach Levine, if Lou Dort plays, I really don't want to pay $9K for him. I think we have other options. If Lou Dort doesn't play, he becomes a little bit more exciting to me. But I think Sadaransky is the guy on this team that I like the most, especially at his price tag, 3,600. We're just getting another cheap value guy here, where we can go stars and scrubs if you really want to. But he took the starting job last game, and he took a lot of the ball handling and facilitating away from Zach Levine, which hinders Levine's value but helps his value. And he didn't get a price bump for it. He got all he did was go up $400. Didn't really reflect that 33.5 point 10, 7, and 6 game that he put up in the last one. So I think Sadaransky is a very good play here, and he's my favorite on the squad, just looking at his price compared to everybody else. And then Dort would change my Levine liking or not. I'm not huge on him right now, but if Dort is definitely not playing, then that's the best defender on that team by a while. So Levine's arrow would be pointing up there in that scenario for me. Let's jump on over to the next game, man. Our single 10 o'clock game, and then we got a late one after that, which you don't really see too often. But we don't have a spread for this one. I forgot to mention the Bulls are on the front end of a back-to-back also. But we don't have anybody on any end on this one. But the Pelicans are traveling to Portland to take on the Blazers. We don't have a spread for this one, but we do have an injury report. Just J.J. Redick for the Pelicans, and Zach Collins, Jusuf Nurkic are out for the Blazers. Harry Giles is questionable. And the big news, C.J. McCollum is back for this one. Everybody get excited. I wonder, he is priced pretty appropriately, but he's back for this one, man. We're going to start with the Pelicans because they are the away team, and then we'll get to our McCollum excitement in a few. But who are you looking at on this Pelican side?
For the Pelicans, you obviously have the 2 big guys, Zion at 8,700 and Brandon Ingram at 8,100. You can feel confident in playing either one. If you have to choose, obviously you probably should go with Zion because he has that, big game potential, even though his last 3 games have been very mediocre. I just think the way they need him to be productive to win. So they need to run the team through him, and he's always worth the risk. It's amazing he's under 9,000. So if you feel that's too high for you because his last 3 games have been mediocre, that's understandable. But he obviously can go for 50 DraftKings points at any given moment. And only other two people I'm looking at, Steven Adams at 5,500. He's going to be going against his old pal, Enes Kanter. That's not too tough of a matchup at all for him. His last 3 games have been, putting up value enough to where at 5,500 you can consider it. And I don't know how you feel about Jackson Hayes at 3,400. His last 2 games, he's been getting minutes over Hernan Gomez, 24 and 25 DraftKings points. If that continues at that low of a price point at 3,400, that's worth using, in my opinion. Do you agree?
I don't hate it. I just think we have so many other options. I probably won't go to Hayes and see if he continues that. But I don't. If he's another value play that you can throw in your never-ending value play on this slate. Yeah. Sometimes we have no value. Sometimes we have good value. Sometimes we just have an overabundance of value. So I think he's going to miss out on my player pool because of it, but not a terrible play either. Kyra Lewis is another guy. 3,300. He's been playing some minutes with no JJ Redick. We thought Naw was going to get those minutes. Kyra Lewis has been playing better too, but I don't think he'll make my player pool necessarily just because we have so many other value plays that I feel more comfortable with. For me, the 2 guys that I like the most are Zion. The first and only time he played the Blazers in this season, he put up 53.5 fantasy points. That did come with 36 actual points, 6 rebounds, 4 boards, and 4 stocks. I don't know if we can get 4 stocks again, but even if you got 1 stock, that's still value, and that's still about 46 or so fantasy points. A pretty good game. Maybe he doesn't score 36, but maybe he gets a couple extra rebounds. I think he's fairly safe. I don't think I'm going to go to him too much because we do have other options, but I don't hate him there. And I like Zoe, man, going against Dame Lillard.
Oh God.
Zoe's been playing great.
This is your guy. I don't like it. So explain to me why we should play Lonzo Ball tonight.
Lonzo Ball's been playing really well lately. First time he played this team, he hit value with 34 points. And he's just been playing. I personally think Lonzo is a better fit with Zion than Ingram. I just think his game translates a little bit better playing with Zion there. And I think this is going to be an up-tempo matchup, up-tempo game. He has probably the best matchup advantage on the team because Steven Adams is not a scorer. So I don't know how much we'll take advantage of Enes Kanter there. But Lillard's not a great defender. We all know that. Lonzo has turned himself into one of the better three-point shooters in the league. Fast-paced game, fits his style. I think 6,800 is a good price tag for him. I would love it to be like 65, and I would really attack it. 68 is not going to force me off him, but I think those are the 2 guys that I like the most on this squad. Then we'll want to flip it over to the Blazer side, man. We have McCollum back. Can you play him? Do you like Lillard? What are you doing with this side?
Well, you always like Lillard. He's pretty much guaranteed to get you 50 DraftKings points. It's crazy. I was going to ask you, I was like, why is there not an injury designation beside McCollum's name? And then you told me. I was like, wow, I'm surprised he's back today. I haven't heard much about it at all. But with the foot injury and how important he is to the team, there's no way I see him getting over 20 minutes in this game. We will see if you hear more news before the game, if he's going to play a full complement of minutes. He's definitely worth 7,500. I heard him say about Nurkic when he comes back, it won't be a limit minutes restriction. I didn't hear about that with McCollum. So if that's the case, 7,500, that's great for me. As long as he's not too rusty out there, and I mean that kind of hurts everyone. You could look at before that news, you could look at Trent at 5,300. He had a good game last game. Melo has been a top 25 fantasy guy in category leagues the last 2 weeks. That's going to hurt him. Robert Covington, 6,200. He's always going to be in there. Nothing too crazy, but always productive. Kanter, he's only big man at 7,200. With as many guys as it is in this slate, you probably wouldn't want to consider Kanter, but he's going to get the minutes. He's going to get the rebound. So that's going to be really interesting to hear more news on CJ McCollum. But, wow, what do you think about the Blazers?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to pay I'm ready to pay some dollar bills, y'all, for Dame. I think at 10-8, this is this is a matchup that suits him very well. Now that we have McCollum back, I know some of the usage will go to McCollum, but a lot of the defensive attention will also just leave Dame. He won't be the center. He will still be the center of attention, but not the lone guy by himself on an island looking at everybody else like the Monstars. So I think that McCollum, as long as he can play 25 minutes or so, that'll help him. And the one and only time he played the Blazers earlier in the year, he dropped 43 points, 16 assists, 4 rebounds for a whopping 79 fantasy points. I don't know if we'll get another near 80-point fantasy outing, but 60 seems very reasonable, and I think I'm ready to pay the 10-8 for him, especially with the massive amount of value that we have on this slate. Don't think you have to really worry about that 10-8 price tag that you would normally look at and say, ooh, that's super high. I don't know where we could fit him in, but all this value that we're talking about, I can fit him in and still have value or still have dollars for another superstar, or maybe another superstar and a half here. So I feel very comfortable with him. McCollum, I would love the $7,500 price tag on a normal circumstance. I just don't. I know that he might play. They might just ramp him up, but I just don't feel comfortable going there in the first game. And since this game starts at 10, we might not have that full clarity first. And then the Pelicans are such a weird team that sometimes they blow out. They blew out the Clippers the other night, and then they'll get blown out by like the Kings or something. They're a weird team, man. And if this game goes sideways at any shape or they got blown out by the Wolves 2 days ago, if this game goes any way, shape, or form that it's turned into a blowout, there's no reason to play McCollum too many minutes. I think for me it's just Dame, and then now that McCollum's back, kind of going to ease off on everybody else a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Only thing I would say with Dame early in the year when McCollum was, having his MVP caliber run, he was kind of deferring to McCollum. I could see him possibly wanting to get McCollum going and not be so aggressive if that's the case. So that's something to look out for because they're like best friends. What's their nickname? The Babyfaces Killers or something. That's what Jalen Rose
Splashtown Northwest. That's what that's what I like to call them.
That's the only thing that could hurt Dame, in my opinion. But, that could happen, could not happen. I don't know. We'll have to see.
All right, man. And then let's jump on to this last game of the night before we get a couple of our favorite plays out there. I think we throw out most of our favorite plays, but the last game of the night is the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Los Angeles Lakers. We have a 225 spread, and Lakers are 8.5-point home favorites. On the injury front, we don't have anything for the Lakers because they are on the second night of a back-to-back. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I know LeBron and I'm drawing a blank, Kuzma entered the game probable. We'll see who exits the other game and who's going to be on the injury report. We'll get that tomorrow. They're playing the Warriors right now. It is the top half of the first quarter. Still only 4 minutes have gone by while we're recording this. 5 minutes have gone by. So we don't know what's going on there, but it looks like Jared Dudley should be out, and Alex Caruso is in the concussion protocol. Marc Gasol has been ruled out for this game already. Kostas Antetokounmpo. I always get I can't say Giannis's last name or Kostas' last name. Super hard. But he was out for this game. AD is not going to play. A lot of things to look at for them, but the Wolves do have an injury report, and it's Malik Beasley out, D'Angelo Russell, Jordan McLaughlin out, and Jarrett Culver as doubtful. We'll start with the Wolves side of the ball. What are you looking at here, man? Do you like this matchup for the Wolves, who've been a little bit more competitive since they came out of the break?
You obviously start with the Wolves. You're starting with Karl Anthony Towns at 9,500. He's had up and down seasons, especially since he came back from COVID. It's 2 of his last 3 games. 3 of his last 4 games have not been really up to his standards. I think he has a good matchup against the Lakers, even though the Lakers are a good defensive team. With AD out, Gasol, struggling in his movement. Harrell's not big enough for him. He should be productive and be able to get you a 50 DraftKings point night, in my opinion. We will see, but I think that would be worth the risk. A guy that's been putting everyone on posters lately, Anthony Edwards, the first pick in the draft. he's been getting a lot of negative talk about him through this season, but a lot of people may have not been noticing. He's been ramping up his production, and he's become a valuable fantasy player at 7,200. I would wish he would be around 6,500, but you can consider him, and that's not something a lot of people were thinking, a month ago. He's been averaging, 30, 40, 46 DraftKings points his last game, 37 and 40. So, he's been hovering around that 40 DraftKings point a night game. So that's really great. Another guy you can look at is, Ricky Rubio, because McLaughlin is still out, so he's the only point guard on the team. He's going to get the minutes. They're going to need him, against the Lakers. So I was going to look at him. Normally I don't like looking at Rubio, but he's the only guy out there. And with him being the only guy out there, that also helps Jalen Noel, because there's no point guard backup. And Beasley is obviously still suspended. Noel's been playing very well lately, and he's at a low price point at 5,300. In real actual NBA points in the game, he's been in double figures his last 3 games. And, I think the Kings the Timberwolves like his potential. Beasley better hurry up and get back because, they're paying Beasley a lot of money. They're playing Noel nothing. So he could be traded up out of there if, Noel keeps playing as good as he's been playing. So I only like those 4, really. How about you?
Yeah, I like Towns at 9,500. The Lakers with no AD, no Marc Gasol. We can attack them on the interior. They don't have any imposing threats on the interior. Trez is small. He's not a big center. Markieff Morris is not a center. Jones is a center. He's a big guy. He's just not very good. So they don't have anybody too imposing. Kyle Kuzma's small. So I think Towns has been very hit or miss lately. But this is a time that we can attack him. And with so much value, he can be possibly squeezed in as a third superstar if needed. But I think I like him in this matchup, knowing that the Lakers are very vulnerable. Jeez, my words today. Vulnerable down low. So I don't mind going there. He's probably the one guy I'm really looking at here, just knowing that this Minnesota team, I don't know what they're doing at power forward. I don't know what they're doing at either of their backup spots. Edwards has been pretty solid. I don't really want to pay 7-2 though for him. Rubio, not terrible, but I'm probably not going to be in. I don't know how much I'll be in that range. I just think I like Towns. I feel comfortable with Towns, and not sure where to go with the rest yet. Jaden McDaniels was suddenly in the protocols earlier Monday, and then he got taken out of the protocols already. So I'm not sure what to make of that. I don't know if we'll be back in by the time we wake up and we have news. Maybe Jared Vanderbilt and Juancho have extra minutes at their disposal. I don't fully know. I just the health and safety protocols are very weird how they do them here. So until I have more clarity on that, I just like Towns. I think you can look at other people, but I'm comfortable with the big cat. I was going to say the big dog. But what about on the Lakers side of the ball, man? No AD. For me, it's hard just because they're on the back end of a back-to-back, and we'll have to wait to see what news comes out. But before that happens, how you feeling about them?
Oh, yeah, obviously, you have the King, LeBron James, at 10,500. Ironically, he was just walking across the screen. They're playing, Warriors right now. And he was limping, like he was hurt. They were showing him up close to but he's right back on the court because he's a robot and he looks fine now. So that's good. But, yeah, with it being a back-to-back, be on the lookout because I don't know what happened to him just now, but he's right back in the game. He's always worth it if you can put him in your lineup. And then you got Schroeder, at 6,300. He's going to get you anywhere from 30 to 40 DraftKings points if you think that's what you need. He should have a safe floor for you with that. We talked about Trez. He's been having a down season, in my opinion. Early in the season, he was doing really well. He had a big slump in the middle. His last 2 games, he's been, ramping back up a little bit. So at 6,200, that's affordable price, but I don't trust him. And so the only guy I can look at right now is Kuzma. Other than that, His last 2 games been incredible. And I think this. I heard someone say the injury to Anthony Davis has been a blessing in disguise for him because it's allowing him to unlock his game. If they keep using him that way, like last game he had 24 points, 13 rebounds. That's the Kuzma a lot of Lakers fans were expecting to have when they didn't want to trade Brandon Ingram for Anthony Davis and wanted to keep Kuzma. Didn't want to trade Kuzma and trade Anthony. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. But 6,000, they haven't adjusted his price yet. So right now it's affordable. The only concern is it's a back-to-back, and with his heel, if that's going to hold up. You agree? Since this is your team, you're our Lakers, guy.
Yeah, it's we're gonna have to see what the injury report is for me to know where I'm going here. Just because they might rest LeBron, they might. I know he doesn't want to rest, and he just had a couple days off, so probably not. But you never know. They're on the back end of a back-to-back Minnesota team who's been playing a little bit better, but still not great. They might. Maybe Kuzma doesn't play this one. Maybe we get all of a sudden some guy we don't know is not going to play, like a KCP or Wes Matthews, anybody like that. Maybe they just sit because that's what they're doing these days on back-to-backs and whatnot. People are just randomly popping up. His left tooth in the back is sore. He might not be able to go tonight. I don't know.
Is this wrong for me to say, Paul George was dizzy the other night?
Oh, I didn't understand that one, man.
What?
Dizziness. That was right as the game started. And then he played the All-Star game 2 days later. Explain that to me. But and he played like 20-something minutes in the All-Star game. So what happened there? Yeah. Do not know. But what we know now is everybody that we know played on Monday is playing again. I think you can look at LeBron. He put up nearly 60 points in the last game. With no AD there, he's going to take on a bigger workload, obviously. You can look at Schroeder, 6,300. It's a very good matchup for him. And even if LeBron doesn't play, he becomes awesome. But if they're all play, 6,300, I don't mind going there. I know I said I'm not going to be too much in that area, but he would be one of the guys in that area for me. Maybe Markieff Morris at 4.7. I think Kyle Kuzma at 6 is pretty solid as well. But I'm probably not going to go too crazy on this team because I think we have so much good value there outside of this on the rest of the slate. He said no. But before we head on out of here, I do want to – I know the guy people have been asking a lot to throw down their favorite plays on in each tier. And I want to ask you a couple. We'll start with the Super Saiyan tier, or not the Super Saiyan tier because we don't have too many people over 10K, but the high tier of over 8K. And what's a guy that you really like here, whether it because you just love them or you're getting a little discount there or whatever the case may be. What's a guy in that expensive tier that you really, really like in this one?
I have to go with Jimmy Butler. He's been rock solid, averaging, in the 50s and 60s as far as DraftKings points. And I know you're going to take, your guy. So I'm going to go with Jimmy Butler. I'll let you go ahead and get yours.
Who's my guy?
Dame, right?
No, I'm not even going to play him. I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, yeah, I really like Dame in this one. I know he's the most expensive guy on the slate, but for good reason. And I like to take guys with a little bit of discount, but I think we have so much value here that I don't mind spending in getting the most expensive guy on the slate in a very good matchup. I just think we have the value to where we don't have to force him into our lineups. He can fall in naturally, to be honest. So I do like myself some Dame in this one. But how about in this mid tier, under that 8K range or 7K or so later or lower? Who's a couple guys in? We can say if you'd like someone in the 7, 6, 5, 4. Who's a couple guys in those ranges that you like?
Well, if Capella is out, I like John Collins at 6,700. Because
John Connor.
He's the Hawks may not like him, but I like him. That's a good price point. And my guy, Kenyon Martin Jr. at 5,300, same game. I love his potential and what he can do. So those are my two guys.
Yeah, and I think if Capella plays, I really like him at 7-7. Just against his old team, against maybe I might be playing center for the Rockets. I don't know. And I like Collins with you, man. I think if Capella doesn't play, for the same reasons, well, less of the same reasons that I like Capella. I just think he's just too big for anybody there. Collins just is a very good second option. Also near 7 feet. He can stretch the floor. He's just very good. So he would be another one of those guys that I like. And I don't know how much exposure I'll have to more of that mid tier, because I think we have a lot of guys, but I do like Larry Nance at 4.7. I think we mentioned him earlier. That's a very good price tag there too. But what about some value plays? What is your one or two favorite value plays? Because I know we mentioned a lot of them.
You go ahead first, because I'm gonna steal your guy. I already know who you're gonna pick.
Well, we can both have the same guy. I guess I know you like Pokemon, and that's a pretty rock solid value play at 4.4. I think we have a lot of them. I think Capella News makes Nathan White Nathan White. Nathan Knight as a very good option there at the bare minimum. I think we have Moses Brown there.
Okay, hold on. Don't take all of them.
Okay, you said to go first. Hey, you can go first, buddy.
You're one guy.
Okay, well, I like Sadaransky.
See, that's what I knew you were gonna pick.
No, I just that was the only one I didn't say that, or one of the few that I didn't say that we were talking about. But yeah, I just think there's a lot of value here that you can attack. But you can go. I mean, you told me to go first and name one or two or three or four.
I'm never letting you go first again. But no, yeah, Sadaransky is the best one of the night in my opinion. But I was gonna go, since it's under 4,000, I was gonna cheat and go Pokemon. So I'm gonna go with Moses Brown at 3,500 starting. With Al Horford out. I love him. Like you also said, same type of value with Nathan Knight. He could possibly be even better than Moses Brown because he went off last game. And another guy you can throw out there is Tony Bradley at 3,700 with him. With Embiid out. So there's a lot of guys to look at. So, I remember last show I did with Brenton, there were like no guys under 4,000 that we could choose from. So I said go 5,000 and under. But this I have 4 or 5 guys under 4,000. So it's different every night, So those are the guys I'm looking at.
Yeah, there's a lot of value that we can squeeze in a couple of these big names for, or go super go pretty balanced with extras there. I think it's going to be an interesting slate with all this value out there.
Yeah.
All right, man.
If you have a lot of money, this is one of those nights you want to play 3 different lineups,
Yeah, it's one of those that you want to take some different shots at on different people and play around and see exactly what you can come up with and what you like. And before we head on out, do you want to add anything else to that?
No, I think we covered it all. I just, had fun with you. I told you I'm getting to know you like the back of my hand. I already know who your guys are and everything. It's kind of getting scary.
Yeah, and you got to catch them all if you get that right. All right, man. On behalf of Will and myself, and you can find Will on Twitter at William is Corny. That's
wow.
Oh, I mean William is Bill. I'm sorry.
And you can
find me on Twitter at Santino Cacone. We're using last names on Twitter, just not in real life. This is William Harris. I am Santino. Thank you guys for joining us for another Tuesday edition. We'll be back here next week. And I believe Keith and Mike are on here tomorrow. So we'll have another good slate for you guys. And this second half of the season's all pretty nice, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 game slates. I don't think there's many short game slates just because they're trying to pack in so many games in such a short period of time. So I don't know how many like 2 to 4 game slates we'll have left, which is fun. I like the bigger slates and get you and have more variety to choose from here.
Yeah. And people, don't go looking for William is Corny. Just ignore that. You're going to have people going out there typing at him. I can't stand you.
That's funny. All right, on that note, I think we can leave. Have a good night.
See y'all. Peace.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.